I figured out my system, so I'm gonna, okay, you can see me, awesome. So Donald, I'm just gonna sign out because I have this set up with BeLive, which is my first time, and I didn't press live broadcast. So everyone, thank you for bearing with my process. I'm gonna close out here and I'm gonna post it where it's gonna be most, I'm gonna try out this new system that's gonna help me and hopefully be better for everyone else. Right. Okay, so moving to BeLive. All right, so everyone, this is me, Sarah Burns, and the Invisibles, and today is an opportunity for me to explore trusting in the systems that I set up for myself to help me, and understanding how I need to be flexible with my learning curve. So hoping that everyone that was on the Facebook Live of this that I linked, I'm just gonna link you guys in so that you can find this. Oh, perfect, here we go. So I'm just gonna link in David and Donald, because you were here a moment ago. All right, and during this process, as I'm just grounding in some of the people that I just cut off, sorry about that, I want you guys to really feel into a question that is here for you, the planet, humanity, during this time. And all right, almost done. Well, anyways, I'm just going to release that. Okay. And so part of my new, affirmation, my new intention that I set for this and for all beings that witness any of this transmission is allowing yourself to really receive and believe, leave and lend. So receiving whatever transmission you're ready to hear, because they all come from different areas of the planet, of different personalities, of different people's lives. And then believing, if there's something that's really encouraging you to put your belief into it, to give you the strength and motivation to excel with that, please do that. And then leave it. If there's any information that comes up that you're not quite ready to hear or it doesn't really sit well, it's an opportunity for you to leave it in the earth or lend it. And so lending is just the idea that in life, even if we are receiving a lot that's coming our way, we don't necessarily have to toss it out if we're not capable of holding it right now. We can lend it. We can lend it into the earth, who's capable of holding quite a lot. And in that process of lending, where we have the opportunity to, we just have the opportunity to trust that we can return to it. So those are some of the questions we have. Making sure everyone is on board. Let's see. All right, so I'm just gonna go. Here we go. So trusting in the support that we ask for. The greatest challenge of being allowed to experience the wisdom of the future is understanding that you still must explore the choices in the present. When we choose to identify with aspects of ourselves that are not yet born yet into existence, when we choose to put all of our eggs in the basket that can only hold the small aspects of what's possible for us, then there are many angles and experiences that have no support to follow and travel with you. So in life, if you are trusting or if you have trusted in systems that were here to support others and yourself alike, systems that brought you into a sense of or a state of vulnerability, where the only way to succeed would be to surrender to the. And if these systems or these moments in your life failed, if those eggs cracked upon the ground, for the basket was not there to catch them, then yes, of course there's going to be a rift, a ripple in your capacity to trust in the support coming your way. But that does not mean that you cannot refine the caliber and quality, the design and innate nature of this support. Through your experience, support actually feels like, through not just exploring that in your own life, but all of the amounts of support that you receive and you witness in the lives of others. They build upon the momentum of what's possible for you. So the prayer that we have for any of you who are developing a sense of scarcity of support, a sense that why trust in the support of others when your own support is reliable, then you have to understand that if you are only developing your life and refining your life to support what you're capable of supporting and trusting in, then you're not supporting yourself with calling in those that are capable of holding and supporting that which you cannot hold for yourself. And thus, when it comes to times in your life when your overflow and your overwhelm are leaking, then who you've magnetized or the support you've magnetized is not capable necessarily of meeting the demands of you. So the prayer we have is that in your life, when you can determine that there is an extension of yourself that wishes to find steps to walk upon, that the prayer before you take that step, before you completely trust blindly, is to pray that there is wisdom and guidance all around you that encompasses you, that knows the depth and the pristine nature of your trajectory. And that this wisdom itself, this magnetic pull, if you are cultivating, that you are cultivating your prayers from that deep center point, there is only the support that can meet that magnetism. That what is needed, the positive and the negative, is what binds, what creates that magnetism. So where you're missing the negative, where you're missing the, how do we, without saying negative, where the yin is missing the yang, that there is a perfect connection and opportunity to meet and fulfill that missing piece for you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard my new ship. We're in my studio today, the Gold Room. So for anyone popping on, I'm trying this new fancy system. Ooh, there's a question for you. So this is an opportunity for you guys to ask a question to the Invisibles, which is a group of spirit mentors and guides that I've been working with and understanding how to allow them to work through me since I was a child. And I actually have one question that is queued from last week where I wasn't able to answer during the call. And this question is by somebody that wishes to be anonymous. And for anyone that does ever wish to be anonymous, you're welcome to send me a question and I can time. So this next question, let's see. And while I'm going through this question, just to know I don't have any questions queued right now. So you're welcome to put a question on and you'll be next after this question. So this beautiful anonymous soul has two questions. I'm going to get to the first one. And the question is, I don't want to scare people off with my, one of humanity and the, okay, one is for humanity and the shadow pretending to be soil, and the process stretching since before time. And okay. So this, let me understand this. So for humanity in the shadow pretending to be soil and the process stretching before time, oh, I see. And two, the value of parents being pupils and children teachers of ourselves. All right, so I'm just gonna take a moment to articulate this. Humanity and the shadow pretending to be soil and the process stretching since before time. Well, I don't totally understand that question, but I'm going to trust that the Invisibles will understand it because they're good like that. So here we go. How we're interpreting the shadow pretending to be soil is what in your life has felt like something that can nourish you, that is here to support your roots and your foundation. Something that you've been relying on to feed and grow upon. And what happens in your life if that very foundation that you trusted, that you depended on, that you in some ways consumed your energy from, became transparently obvious that it was not a root or a true foundation with your best interest in mind, or a shadow, that it was not the essence, not the form that is truly alive and breathing, but the shadow it is created from it. What if you root your energy in something that appears to be of what you are seeking, yet is only the invisible portion that reminds us that there is something shining upon it? Does this make sense? So for you, we say, how can you reassess the values that you have to stay dormant? Perhaps in some ways there has been a belief that's come into your life or the lives of others that to root into something that is deeply satiating and true and sustaining can only cause pain due to the commitment that is required of you. Whereas to root into something that does not actually completely nourish you, that only develops you to a point, that may just be a faint wisp of the imagination's form to create structure. In some ways, perhaps there is denial or an opportunity, this is an opportunity for you to look into what part of you is scared to grow. What part of humanity is scared to deeply grow from rich soil? What part of you is nervous that the growth that you have dormant within you, that growth that can only happen if life has the true nourishment and nutrients for you to deeply bloom into yourself? Well, how seen would you be? How glorious would you be? And how much attention would this bloom be for you? Perhaps you have experienced that. We're guessing you have. For any of you listening to, experience times in your life when everything felt just right for you to explore and to grow and to feel nourished. To many limbs, your mind, your psyche, your body, your spirit, your soul, your collective connection. All of these aspects were being nourished and fed. And how did you bloom? How did you grow? And how full did you feel in those moments? And the side note is, how much attention did you get during those moments? How much attention that might not have actually felt serving of you? How much attention did you get from those that knew you in a more dormant state, that couldn't believe or couldn't support or understand how to have such a luminous version of yourself in their lives? Perhaps you were shining light upon their lives where they were choosing to lay dormant. Or perhaps you can understand this experience in the other direction, seeing people in your lives that have this rich soil, that have created or been given in some ways, whether karmically or through the great development of themselves in this life, nourishment that can deeply allow their roots to find shelter and sustenance. And how do you feel when their reflection shines upon you or creates the reflection beneath you and behind you? That's all we're going to share for now. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So that was for a lovely anonymous person. And so if anyone has a question, this is a great opportunity for you to check in and post your question. So let's see if we have any questions. This is new for me, so I'm not. Actually, could someone, just for the sake of my surety in this technology, post something? Just so I can see if I'm able to see if you're putting things on. So I'll just write that here. Post a question. Otherwise, I'm going to get to my next live comments. Ooh. All right. So since I don't have a question, I'm just going to get to this next question from this anonymous person. So their next question that they had, which I thought was a really powerful question, is here. The value of parenting. So any insights for the Invisibles on the value of parents being pupils and children teachers of ourselves. All right, let's see what they have to say about this. Your children may be remnants of the future. They may be aspects of the future that are choosing to reach themselves into the present, to build upon themselves so that they may support more aspects of the future trickling into the present. This is a unique perspective, and we understand it may be complex. But how we see it in this journey with working with an almost nonlinear sense of time is that our children are aspects of the same life force that has pushed and pursued, how do we say this? Pursued itself and source through each incarnation. Our children, the next generation, in some ways can be seen as the evolution, the next incarnation of the planet's way of exploring more of itself with all of the wisdom and inherent knowledge of the past. It's not that each generation has more experience under their belt, under, I feel like we're going about this the wrong way. Oh. All right, well, they want me to sing a song about this, so I'm going to do that. Here's a song for understanding the children and the next generation and how we are pupils of them. Your children know not where they came from, for the answers rely on you. The wisdom of the ancient it inspires, but the truth it flows on through them, and it grows on through them, and it flows on through them, and to them you must give your respect. For the answers are woven in the time, and behind the wisdom comes a friendship grown upon the soil of patience, a union sampled in the night. So keep your angle to encompass. The answers come between the lines. So write a story to the future and sign it with the blood of the past. Let children read it and tell them to share what they've learned and what they care about it. Ask the children to answer questions known or not, Ask the children to decide just what is needed now by holding them a horrid nest. Horse nest! All right. Okay. So that was a question from an anonymous person from last week that we couldn't get to. And so moving on. So for anyone, if there has been a question, not seeing it, I'm gonna see if there are any questions looking through this way. Oh, good. Okay, well, I see that somebody has asked a question through here. Oh, there's all kinds of questions that I can't see on BeLive. Okay. All right, I'm going to go here and see if I can. Okay. Dun-dun-dun. No. So if anyone has a question, could somebody please just, I don't even know, I'm trying a new program. So if somebody could write something at least, because I'm not able to see if I'm missing out on a bunch of beautiful information from you guys, but that would be really amazing because I have an opportunity to ask any question right now and I have no questions I can see. So if you're capable of asking a question, I'm going to try here as well and see if this is going to work. The other option, since this seems like it might not be working, let's see. So the other option is if somebody has a question, because I don't quite, oh, yay! Someone wrote something. Thank you, it works. I appreciate that. All right, great. It works. So I'm not just here on dead air. All right, my dear. So this is Miss Airy. So Airy, your question is, when you know you are blocked but not sure how or where or in what way, how does one go about stepping past the fog and into clarity and insight? Ooh, that's a good one. I like to think of this as the blind spots in our lives, and these amazing blind spots that, especially the more sensitive we can become, the more, in my experience, I feel them as like almost like being a plant that's in a really tight container, and I know I need to I know I need more space, but whatever is holding me back from that growth is something that I can't quite do myself. I can't quite get myself out of that. I can't quite transplant myself, so to speak. This episode has a lot of gardening references. All right, so here we go. So when you know you are blocked but not sure how or where and in what way, how does one go about stepping past the fog and into clarity and insight? All right, this is for all of you really, and for you, Miss Airy. Anyone that's experienced this. Let's see what they have to say. Take a chisel. We're hearing this. This is a song that came through in another transmission that Sarah did. When you are blocked and you're not capable of even exploring how to create momentum with that block, Perhaps it's an opportunity for you to rattle yourself. All right, they feel like they want me to talk about this because how they're showing it to me is, so the image that they're showing me is this image of this rattling, this shaking, this way of, it can be even a somatic experience if you're feeling blocked. Doing something physically, like they call it the rattle, like really shaking your body, and doing so in a way with the intention that it's, if anything, it's going to be shaking or pulling up or loosening any block that's in you. And okay, they want to tell the rest, but for some reason they wanted me to share that. I guess they want me to go like this, shake it up. So everyone, wherever you are, if you feel any blocks in your life, just remember to shake it, rattle it out. Okay, so let's what they wanted to keep going with. That was a great demonstration. What we're trying to get at is that there are ways in your body's natural wisdom has the capacity to unlearn what it's been taught about holding your blocks in and growing and strengthening from them in a way that is detrimental, turning those blocks into shields and shells and casings and what do we call it? Caskets. This is old. Using our block as protection. And then fortifying the importance of that block because in some way it protects us from being vulnerable, right? So for you, we're wondering, maybe this block in you has to do with some form of protection that has been established since you were young, childhood, maybe 8 to 12, that this form of protection is something deeply embedded in your value system, okay? That this way of holding yourself or harnessing your strength and your power has been helpful. But for you now, you must choose to rattle it out. You must choose to release the discomfort or the comfort, moreover, that has been immobilizing you from taking another look at this calcified protection, this block. We see it connected to your pineal gland specifically. We see it connected with your capacity to have vision and insight. Maybe you can get into that more with someone near you, or if there's someone in your life that you can explore, inquire with. But looking into why there has been protection in your life, a belief in your life that has formed a safety mechanism that prevents you from being connected to that help you need and prevents you from connecting to the help that needs you. So for you, because the body is coming up, what can you do on a biological level? What can you do to work with your third eye, to work with any decalcification, any sense of trusting the visions or the sensitivity that you innately have? And go from there. Speak with Sarah. She's very good with this. That was for you, Miss Ari. Just rattle, rattle, rattle it off. All right. So, moving on. So for anyone who is popping on, it looks like we got a new crew. Feel free to give a little shout out who you are, because I can't see who you are. I just see the number 8. So if you're here, say hello, and I would love to just know who's here, who's in the ship with us today. And on top of that, I would especially love to know your question. So here's an opportunity for you to ask a question for yourself, humanity, or the planet. And just knowing that this question can be something simple to something completely complex. You know, it's really just trusting that if you're here, you may be here for, of course, a reason to witness and listen, but you may also be here because there's something in you that has maybe been not feeling like it's had the space to be vulnerable. And yes, it is vulnerable popping out into the great realm of Facebook Live, but we don't have a question lined up right now. So hot potato, it's coming your way if this question is for you. And so I have this process I do while I'm waiting on questions, which I call intermission songs. So while I'm waiting on somebody to post a question, I'm going to do a little song, and hopefully this may encourage you or stir something up or speak to you in some way. The beauty that holds thee, it encompasses. The wisdom inside you, it harnesses. The strength that desires to embody you in taking the wisdom and flowing it through like daffodil leaves. Oh, the art of the patience that comes with a spark to the flame. The wisdom that anchors its new rigging. Hold your burden, light a candle, and when you blow it out, away it goes. And when you blow it out, away it goes. All right, we got a question. I gotta press my fancy question button. And hello, Alira Moon. And so the question going on right now from Miss. All right, how do I best support myself to heal, to move forward in my life, past the trauma I've incurred, so I can serve and give again to the world with an open heart? All right, Miss Sarah, this is for you and for anyone else that has experienced trauma. I know I personally have experienced life and am now finding just how I've come from that. How do we go from those and those places in life that cripple us, regain our capacity to serve? All right. Hey, Kiri, you're working right now. All right, so this is for you, Sarah, and for anyone else that this can relate to. All this. Sometimes the little steps that are taken are happening beneath, so that in the outer world, it may appear that movement or the motivation to pass over the hump of trauma, the lacerations, the pain, pushes you back inside your protective home of yourself. But for you, we want to acknowledge that there are little steps that are happening beneath the surface, and some that are coming up. We see a friend connection, or somebody that was a deep friend from the past. Maybe you lost a friendship, not sure. But we want you to speak to the part of you that desires to know how to use what has felt like a burden and a laceration that has immobilized your capacity to stand straight in the world, to hold your surety and your sense of wellness and strength, and we want to even say fertility in the world. But before that can happen, you must listen to the part of you, that young, innocent aspect that has been able to steer so much of your life, that innocent spark of you that has brought so much to so many people's lives. Because that's what she does. She initiates, she brings her light and illuminates with the sweetness. But she is the one that is learning how to develop herself, to be able to serve more, to be able to be accessible by more. Because in some ways, the innocence, the sweetness, the delightfulness was not as capable of reaching greater regions, greater nether regions of those that need to be served and helped. And in this, your soul understood that an initiation of such danger, an initiation that could possibly tear the very light that has been fueling so much of your ventures, your not business, or some we see what's been fueling it, that could tear that away from your life. But the thread of connection to your purpose is never capable of being taken away or diluted or refined or defined by the trauma you experience. For that thread is what you have to remember. It is going from the past to the future. If you were to take a blade and slice that thread of purpose, perhaps a ripple may be felt, but the strength and the capacity to withstand all potential obstructions of why you're here is what this is designed for. And we can tell you that it is intact. So how to move forward right now on a tangible level? We want you to create a remedy. We want you to create a space in your life. It can either be a time space, it can be a physical space, it can be planting something, but create something, a ritual for yourself that is here to show you the power of vulnerability. That's why we said maybe planting something or connecting with a baby in your life or nearby. We see you going to something that represents innocence, potential, yet vulnerability that you can support and tend to. we're not feeling that working with supporting other adults, but supporting, maybe it's a young animal, maybe it's, start there. Start tending the innocent and the young. Start there. All right. Well, that was from Tusara. All right. And so moving on, I really liked that, that feeling of, sometimes when we have to regain that innocence or in ourselves that feels stripped in some ways, going to what is innocent in our lives, what is a symbol of that innocence, but that innocence that's still alive and growing, and how can we invest our time and our support in that. So moving on. Awesome. So we have Alira Moon. Oh, you're welcome to Sarah. All right, so we have Alira Moon, who says, "Hey sis, Facebook randomly showed me your video. I'm interested and open with your channeling, but obviously a little skeptical here. Not sure what to ask." Awesome. Well, I feel like I'm going to maybe just show that just for fun. So for me, I feel like that's a question in itself. And the question I have, for sometimes, in some ways, what I've told people is, you know what, if the concept of channeling is like too much, or like, what, I just say, you know what, this is a theatrical opportunity for me to bring teachings to you all. And at the same time, in my experience, just to give you guys an idea of like what it is that, I go through in this process, is, so what I go through is I actually drop in to a place where in some ways I'm an observer, and I've been working with these guides since I was a young girl, actually. And some people might have experienced invisible friends or things like that, and if anyone's experienced that, please throw it on. I mean, we probably have all experienced that. And what I realized was that because of my level of remembering that I remember that these invisible friends were actually my guides, and they were me connecting with wisdom that's coming from else. And so for you, Medea, for anyone that is skeptical or trying to what is this channeling thing? How can I in some way, asking myself a question to something that I don't totally understand, or where am I giving my power away by trusting in this illusory, invisible, things like that. So I'm just going to turn that into a question and ask them, what do they say for people that are open teachings from between the veils, but coming up with, skeptical nature that have come and that are conditioning. And so what do they have to say with that? Because it does come up for sure. Even with myself. I'm like, oh, really? This is really far out. Is this going to come up? And I'm like, what? It doesn't matter. Low bone. So here, let's see what they have to say. And just for anyone, I have this process of coughing that's really awkward and humbling. I journey with this transmission. And so if I'm like coughing and you're like, oh my gosh, just bear with me. I'm trying to not do my body's way of like preparing itself to and clearing itself for the invisibles. So. When you find yourself exploring an aspect of creation that brings upon a feeling of unsurety, sometimes disbelief, we can connect that with that same feeling of experiences in your life where disbelief can begin as that makes me seen as skeptical. And that same wording, to disbelief, to be in disbelief, has been used to express when something occurs in your life that you cannot comprehend how to articulate or how it could possibly exist, when those synchronicities that are beyond logic occur. And we are sure that everyone has experienced some form of synchronicity, even from thinking of someone and them calling, to dreams occurring, to having inclinations to turn a certain way, to bring a certain thing in your life with you without that sense of understanding where that's coming from. That same energy, that same trickle of consciousness that prods you or pokes you is where we come from. And we, in Sarah's forms, she calls us the invisibles. But for you, some people call it the gang, your spirit guides. There are aspects of the unseen that have been helping you from this belief, how we see it, that have been helping you behind the scenes since you were born. Because this life requires you to understand that it is not just what you can see or think. There is a whole aspect of consciousness that is conscious beyond those that you see around you and the thoughts of those around you. And that consciousness doesn't always take form in this life. And so the form of channeling is when people are prepared to be a vessel for that consciousness to birth itself and speak itself through them. And for some people, it comes through song. For some people, it comes through writing stories. In some ways, where our thoughts come from are so close to the same stream of consciousness that is moving through us, it's almost hard to detangle them. But learning how to find boundaries so that you can establish trust in frequencies that may not make sense to you, but have your best interest in mind, takes time, and we do not encourage it unless you are ready to develop your own personal awareness of your own boundaries and sense of psychic sovereignty, which we've done with Sarah since she was young, teaching her how to first and foremost trust her own security in what she believes in, and slowly developing an openness to the kinship that is with her between the veils. That is that. So that was for you, Alira, and for other people and anyone, that might be in a phase in your life. And it might not just be about even just channeling and what is this channeling. And it might be about connectivity to these unseen worlds. It might come in all these different ways. And that, if anything, what I've experienced is most of the people that have a fear or resistance or in some ways resentment to connecting with more of the spirit plane have at some past life been quite attuned to it, and in fact has been such a way of their life and knows it so well, but through some form of deep trauma, or in this life through dogma or certain trauma, see it as more of a burden or more of something that, like something that's come up a lot is even just with the witch burnings and how it affects us in this life. All of us that have had to pass through that complete annihilation of our kin and those holding and harnessing and wielding wisdom that isn't so concrete. So that would be something to look into, maybe, is feeling in yourself if there's this curiosity and feeling with curiosity and with these questions, and this, like, holding yourself back is important, like taking, and that's what I did in my process working with the invisibles. Is I remember when I was young, um, I remember questioning and not just accepting it, being like, I don't know, I want to keep you at arm's bay, and that's how I found trust and established trust with my guides, was because they respected that, and they respected when I said I would do automatic writing, and when I said okay bye, and I'd wait for them to say bye, and if they didn't, I'd realize that there was something more, and I'd have to go deeper into if something in your life, if there's energies, unseen energies in your life that you feel are coming at you, and when you ask them to leave, still feel present and still feel predominant in your life, then it's really important to have a flag go up. And because our guides and the ones that work with us, they're in contract to respect our requests. And so just as they're in contract to respect our requests for space, they're also in contract to respect our requests for help. And so it works both ways. So how can you understand the space that you've asked between you and your guides? And then when you're ready, how can you create space for them to help you? How can you create or ask them to come to you in dreams, or to give you some sort of information or guidance that can help you create a new relationship or trust that they exist? And you will be surprised, my dears, what comes up. So moving on to the next question. Let's see, it's almost time. We've got enough space for, I think, 1 to 2 more questions. So I'm going to move through and see if there's any more questions that have come upon us. All right, so perfect. The next question that we have, it's from Anne Frid, and she says, hello, I'm wondering how to best open up or begin to use my gifts. I feel things have been accelerating so much for me lately, lots of energy and upgrades. How to best handle all this and tap into the gifts? Okay, I'm going to repeat this again. I was wondering how to best open up or begin to use my gifts. I feel things have been accelerating so much for me lately and lots of energy and upgrades. How to best handle all of this and tap into the gifts. All right. Well, if anyone else is experiencing, throw some hearts across, because experiencing this acceleration, it's a lot, and it is requiring us to step into trusting that we're capable of holding more, and that we're capable of developing into more of ourselves, and what that learning curve feels like. And I know for myself, it's been a lot of trust, of being like, okay, here I go. I'm going to put my make my learning curve public. Because I know for me, the learning curve it requires other people. And I can't just be the one validating myself, because it wasn't enough motivation to jump into gear. So for you, Anne, let's see what they have to say. All right. We almost want to say this might make you laugh, but your gifts are central in nature, but dynamic, or for some people, dogmatic from the outside view. So what we want you to be aware of is to not let the world, and not all the world, but those that may see you as being dogmatic, may see you as asserting yourself where the desire for your help has not been. Don't let them get to you, okay? Because your sensual by nature talents and your capacity, they're popping out for a second. Okay, back in. Your capacity to take these gifts and accelerate them require you to make yourself available where you may have thought you were going to be completely disregarded, unappreciated, persuaded otherwise. I know this sounds hard, but there are people and beings that need you. And they are going to be found in places that you least expect. Yes, they may be found in the workplace. Yes, they may be found at a funeral morgue. Yes, they may be relatives of yours. But during this acceleration, we want you to hold back less of what you harnessed and what you've been building, and start being daring with how you express or share what's in you. Not everyone's going to be able to receive them, but what we need you to do is to prove to yourself, to that ego, to that part of you that is protecting the world from your gifts. During this acceleration, in order to persevere, you need to prove to yourself, having those that you did not expect to receive you, at least have appreciation granted for what you are doing, okay? Because there's a wound we see in you of being discredited or devalued. And in that process, those archetypes, whoever those archetypes may have been, and it might have been in the past life, it might be something coming at you, something, a weight being pulled, a burden being pulled, because you feel like it's here to support you from severe loss. Try again, okay? Try again to explore putting yourself in environments that you may see not supportive of who you are. Not detrimentally, though, but just enough. Maybe where you host something, maybe where you share something. Try there. The rest is good too, but this is your homework. Be daring. Be trusting. Thank you. That was for you, Anne. Ooh, that sounded like a little bit of a tricky one. How did that feel for you? How did that resonate for you? I'm curious if any of that spoke to parts of you, or if you need more clarification. All right, so moving on. I think I have room for less juicy ones. We're going to, and hello. Oh, amazing. Thank you. It was good. So much. Perfect. I'm glad that resonated. All right, so moving on. So welcome everyone that is away. I tried to putting these in a few new places and kind of trusting in new communities, new cyber communities, where I've been doing these every week, actually on Wednesday, 2:30 PST, for more of my closer connections. So all these new beings, so glad you made it. So moving on. It looks like we've got at least one more question, and I will put this up just for a moment, and if anyone has space, it looks like we've got, if there's any newer people, I've got space for one after the question from. So if there is something in you and you're like, oh, do I want to get to it? Just get to it, or get to it next week. You know, I'll be here next week, and that's an opportunity. So the next question we have is from Robin Jenkinson. I kind of like this new program. It's all fancy. All right, my dear. Whew. I'm just going to clean up my face a little bit. For anyone who knows about Tibetan vows, they're amazing at clearing. So sending this energy, sending this beautiful sonic beam wherever you are on the planet, allowing it to clear your space, your home, wherever you may be listening to this, your body. And now for you, Robin. Thanks for being here. Advice for a beautiful and fun summer with family. Ooh, great. I'm going to take this advice as well. We live on the same island. Some of the advice might be pertinent to me too. Here we go. Don't do what's boring more than you do what's fun, okay? So if there's something in your life that feels routine to you, okay, that feels like it's part of what makes up your day, something that you've just given too much credit for, something that you valued or you haven't chosen to reestablish an understanding if it's truly valuable. Look at your day. Even look at the first 3 hours of your day. How are you exploring life? How are you setting the intentions for your day? What thoughts are coming up? How are you communicating and expressing with your family? We are suggesting for you to find something that also feels easily attainable, but new, okay? So it could be creating, we're seeing like a creativity game that might involve other people. We're seeing maybe a beach, maybe something that can be developed, something that you guys can work on. Maybe it's a structure, a fort at a nearby beach, where you can bring pieces to it and you can build upon it. And you can call the support of other friends to come to this beach or to this forest, but we feel the ocean is involved. And add more pieces. You might not find all the pieces at the beach. Want to go to other places. Of course, let's not turn this into a litter pile, but something that's going to bring life and creativity and a place of sanctuary to the beach, a new, fun place that can be experienced by others when you leave. A project that your family can go and see the development, perhaps even leaving a sign that shares how people can connect and add to this project, so that when they find So, and then that can be a game that you can post to your friends know about. You can give the place of this, the beach that they can go to, and have it almost like a quest. That's one way. The other way is to avoid reruns, to avoid, not to say to disregard systems that feel really alive for you. But if there's activities, maybe are more of your what's that called when you fall back. If you're going to be falling back to them, try to add a little dimension. Maybe ask your children to add, if it's a game or an activity, ask them for what they think. What's a new way or a new opportunity, a new dynamic or a rule that they can add? Building. So we're seeing for you something that can build upon and become better and bigger than even what you can imagine with the group efforts. Thank you. Mm-hmm. That was for you, Robin. Ooh, that sounded fun. You better tell me where your magical building project is if you guys get into it, because I will definitely bring some kids or help you with it. I actually myself have a project I call The Nest. And The Nest is this project that I started with a group of people where we went into the forest and we set the intention, that we were going to connect with a place in the forest that really wanted to welcome this ongoing circle, like nest of protection and kind of like a nest for the fairies and this beacon within the forest for people and elementals and fairies to feel that there is a connectivity and a responsibility of the humans nearby. And so we went in the forest and we just walked around and set the intention with the land where it wanted this point on the land to be. And we found it, and then we all started gathering lots of sticks and branches, and we created this pretty substantial circle. And then we built upon it, and it got higher and higher. And as we and this was actually because of guidance that I had from the Invisibles. They said, this is something we want you to do. And it sounds like it's similar for you. But now every time I go, or I think we might even go today and bring people, we add to it. And so somewhere in the forest, there's this special nest that exists for those that can find it. So moving on. So if there isn't a question, let's see. All right, it looks like, and hello everyone that I haven't said hello to. Diane. Oh, actually, Diane, I realized that I skipped over your question. So you will be the last question, my dear. I'm sorry about that. Perfect timing, I guess. Robin says, ooh, we'll visit your nest in August. Anne really likes the nest idea. All right, so, oh, hello, Alexander. Hello, everyone popping on. So I realized that I actually skipped over Miss Diane. So this is Diane's question. She says, can you give me something that you can pick up on? All right, so this is for you, Diane, from the Invisibles, and they're just going to tap into, now that they have your permission, something that they can pick up on you, something that might be supportive where you're at. All right. We want you to understand, do not leave it, but return to it. Or at least if you're creating decisions, or if there's decisions right now that are imperative but feel that the only options are so dramatic and drastic in order to shift into a new gear that you're not taking them, we see that maybe changing your perspective to one of leaving something because you're not capable of holding it right now, or your life or your circumstances are not capable of holding it right now. And this could also be a desire. It could be something that feels pertinent and important to your life, a project. But if you are putting it down, don't feel the failure of a lost mission, of a lost desire, okay? But set the intention that you are going to be returning to it with the tools and the resources and possibly even the community or the support that is required for you to pick it up and give it the life that it deserves, okay? We're seeing, so sometimes they kind of pop out and they want me to just articulate what they're trying to get through. So I was seeing, they were saying something about don't wait till October, but allow yourself to surrender into the process. And something about mid-November. So it's almost like they're giving 2 dates. So either maybe don't wait until October to fully put it down, or don't wait until October to start it. Maybe, I'm not sure, like that's something that will come up, but you can just maybe keep notes of that. So October and mid-November is a good time for you to start letting it settling into your life, whatever this might be. And if there's anything that's coming up or if this is resonating with you, please share. Because when I was transmitting it, I could feel there's 2 angles of it. You know, it was like this feeling that I got that they were trying to tap into was something that felt like almost like you were giving up on something that you hadn't fully invested what was needed into it, or enough to take it off its feet. And sometimes when that happens in life, when we have these visions or these dreams that do require a certain amount of gumption from us to take root, and if we don't have that gumption, then sometimes they can just feel like we have to just leave them and we just have to shed them. And a lot of times it's true. I mean, I'm Aries. I have plenty of ideas of that, but realizing that for you, whatever they're talking to is connected to something that they're just affirming that whatever it is, you can return to it, okay? And by knowing that you're going to return to it, might be easier for you to put it down for now, or allow it the spaciousness it needs for you to be able to have the resources or tools or community or support to help you get through it. It could even be a personal thing. It could be something like in you that you feel like you can't handle, or a development inside of you, things like that. So that's for you, my dear. And I think it's, I can answer questions all day long, but I do have lovely guests here that we're going to actually go off to the nest, hopefully, that I was just talking about. So let's see if there's any questions. All right, so I'm just going to say that this is going to be the last question for this transmission. And so this question is from Alexandra Lopez, which, by the way, hello, welcome, you've made it. It's so great seeing all these new faces or cyber pictures of your face. And so Alexandra Lopez has the same question, which is a great question, for any of you that have been kind of come to these and are like, I don't know, I don't even have the question to word it. Just, do you pick up anything about me? Sometimes that's enough. with the sessions I do, a lot of my clients, I ask to have no understanding or story or anything. I just say, okay, I'm going to journey for you. See you there. We'll know what to do from there. So, my dear Alexandra Lopez, this is for you. And I realized that before I drop in, there's actually a moment that I should do. I'm going to put on, I have all these juicy links. So if anyone wants to connect with more of my transmissions, my newsletter, get updates, my website's got all kinds of goodness there. I also have a YouTube channel, which has really short transmissions that I used to do with the Invisibles when I was budding in this process and a little more tender and didn't want to do it live. But here is a link to, here, I'm going to do it right here. So here's a link to all of these different, I think that you should see that. So this is just a link to my website and all of that goodness. And now getting to our last question for you, Miss Alexandra Lopez. See if they pick up on. It's too much. Before I get in, I'm in my technical moment. Okay, here we go. So what we see for you, we see, don't do it. But don't do it because you're scared. Don't do it. Decision that is imperative for you developing the strength that you need to trust in your intuition. Okay. Because whatever is encouraging you, even if it feels like it's from within, to do this, to take this step, to agree to this action, to develop something, we're not quite sure of the parameters. You probably know what we're talking about. Maybe it's something that's also been, we're seeing it's something that could have come up within the last few days or hours, maybe even weeks, but probably not that long ago. Don't do it because you're scared. Don't do it because you need to prove to yourself that you trust your intuition. So whatever this gut feeling is in you, that you have circumnavigated maybe too many times in your life, but not enough to regard what it feels like. To develop more strength and trust in your intuition. Okay. And in this process, you may have opportunity examples come up for you because they're not trying to scare you, or they're not trying to be opportunities to move past your blocks that a lot of people may feel. It's a between that sensation of resistance because of fear or being scared of something or holding back, or intuition putting a foot down and demanding you listen to the subtle truth that is here coming at you. So what we're saying in this situation is, don't do it because it is your intuition. It is not because you are scared. Okay. In this process, the texture and the sensitivity, and start to learn and develop a relationship with what intuition feels like, and what listening and taking action to your intuition feels like, and what the effect in your life. because you can trust yourself, the more opportunities you give yourself to grow. The more you can trust yourself, opportunities you can give yourself to grow. We're going to leave it at that. Thank you. Thank you. For you, Alexandra, and this is Sarah and the Invisibles, and this Facebook Live Q&A group that we have started. This is an episode, actually. I've been doing this, and oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Alessandra. I hope that was helpful for you. Yeah, one that is here for the first time. You know, this is something that I've been doing on at this time and next week or the next week through the Facebook page, Sarah Byrne Invisibles, or even going on my website. There'll be a direct link to that page through Deep Soul Journeys. So if you do that, I think I can put this right here. This is just Wednesdays, just to put this in your mind. 2:30 and boom. All right, so hope to see you or your cyber aspect or feel you or pass through your questions another time. And just to know that this is recorded and I make minutes as missions. So I'm sending minutes to everyone, your answers, so that you can drop back in if you want to get back into the answers. Oh, yay. Love to you, Ari. So I also have a lot for that we've done. So all the episodes are going to be on my Facebook page. And if there, you can even just scroll in the write-up. There'll be minutes with all the questions. So if there's a question that speaks to you or that there's a pull for, you can do that instead of having to go through the whole episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with the image of me. I promise that I exist here on the beautiful Salt Spring Island, BC, and I'm going to go to nature now and get into some craft, make some music. So blessings to your day and your life and all that you get into. And with that, just taking these beautiful bells of purification and space. And as we say, believe it, receive it, or lend it. Aloha. Oh, and